A sponsorship experiment for your podcast. Are you gutsy enough to try it? In this episode of Podcastification. My name is Kerry Green, and I am the client happiness guy at podcastfasttrack.com, and this is Podcastification. This show is all about podcasting. How to do it, how not to do it, best practices, interesting news items that have to do with the realm of podcasting, and who knows what else. And I'm trying to do it all with a little bit of fun and some information to help you get a show going, keep yours going, or make it better. And if you like what's going on here on the show, I would appreciate it, so appreciate it, if you could leave a rating or review on iTunes. You can find out how to do that at podcastfasttrack.com/review. That's enough of that kind of stuff. Let's get you podcastificated right away. All right. How to get a sponsor for your podcast. It's one of the questions a lot of people are asking nowadays because, podcasters, like anybody else who are doing things on the internet, want to monetize what they're doing. They want to have something to show in a personal sense from what they're doing with their show. Well, I've had this idea. You'll call it a crazy idea, a harebrained experiment, perhaps. I'm a mad scientist, so to speak. And it's how you can get a sponsor for your podcast. And it's one of those things you're going to have to put in some work. There's nothing easy about it. But I think it'll work. As I've researched things and I've thought this thing through, and I've even got some feedback from a few people who have sponsors, and they think this will work. So if you're game to try this thing, I would love for you to try it, interact with me about it if you want, Kerry at podcastfasttrack.com. Or you can contact me in the comments below the show notes at podcastfasttrack.com/005. And let me know how your experiment's going and all of that. Now, let me say this before I get into the experiment. The disclaimer is I have never tried this. I've had some people say they were going to try it and I haven't heard back from them. So, take it for what it's worth. But think it through and do the work if you're going to try it. All right. Now, here's how it goes. Because really think about it. What's a great sponsor for your podcast worth to you? What might be the lifetime value of that? There's no way to calculate that, really. So if you want to try this experiment, here's step number one. Step number one is have a show worth sponsoring. It should go without saying, but it doesn't, so I'm saying it. If your show quality is below average, you need to understand you don't have a hope of getting a sponsor. Here's a quick checklist to ensure that your show has quality standards that any sponsor-to-be would be proud to endorse. Okay, first, you use a good quality microphone. They don't have to cost a lot. The one I'm speaking on right now was less than $80. Okay, you need to have no excessive background noise or harsh S and P sounds. Those are called plosives. Really, they are. I didn't just make that up. You need to have music and spoken word segments that are balanced and easy to listen to, and that has to do with how you produce the show. Your audio levels are, level. That means you've done appropriate loudness normalization to the industry standards. You know how to talk, you know how to speak, you know how to interview, you know how to explain things without boring your audience to tears. And your content is really good stuff. It's relevant to your specific niche. If you don't have these basics, then don't hold your breath about getting a podcast sponsor. It's just not going to happen. That's step number one. Make sure you have a podcast worth sponsoring. Number two, pick a company that you'd like to see sponsor your podcast. Now go ahead, dream. This is your podcast we're talking about. So aim high and choose a sponsor that would be the ideal, perfect, best fit for your show. Make it an industry leader who would put a powerful stamp of approval on what you're adding to the market. Now here's a few make-sures, I guess you can call them, that I'd suggest. Make sure this potential sponsor has a product line that fits your niche audience. Make sure that product is truly beneficial to your listeners. Make sure that you use the product yourself to know the pros, cons, bugs, and best practices. And make sure the company is one your listeners think well of and would be happy to buy from. This is your chance to choose your own podcast sponsor. Choose wisely, young grasshopper. Number 3, create your own advertisement for that company's product. You may need to learn a little bit about copywriting for this piece of it, but it may be well worth your time at the same time. You'll be creating your very own advertising for the potential sponsor's product that you've picked out. Yep, you will. I'm not crazy. I'm just convinced this will work. Here's some well-considered tips for how to go about it. Make sure everything you say about the product is absolutely true. That means you've got to do your homework, got to do your research. Consider using a variation of the advertising copy the company itself uses. That way you don't have to worry about that first point I just mentioned. Never make claims about what results to expect from the product. You don't want to imply that the company makes those guarantees. You want to tell your own story about using the product, but make sure it's clear that it's your story and not any kind of an implied guarantee. And then create 2 or more versions of your sponsor ad. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to take that advertisement, you're going to write it out like it's ad copy for your perfect sponsor. Pretend it's ad copy they gave you after you write it out. And you're going to read it on your podcast. And we're going to get to that in just a few steps. Seriously, you're going to advertise their primo product that's perfect for your niche audience for free for a limited time. And for an amazing reason. We're going to get to it. So keep reading. I'm going to show you how to hook a podcast sponsor by advertising their product for free. And I really believe this will work. Okay, that was step number 3. Here's step number 4. Create a pretty link that is easy to speak. If I could speak, it'd be helpful. Create a pretty link that is easy to speak and gives you analytics of the click-throughs. Now, if you're not familiar with Pretty Link, it's a free plugin that you can set up on your blog, and it creates an easy-to-remember address that goes to a web page that you tell it to. It will provide you a limited but adequate set of statistics on how many times that link has been clicked. So let's walk through an example using one of my products and my website. Let's say I want to send a person who clicks on a link to this product page and is found at http://www.amazon.com/gp/product/B00VU6XG. You get the point. It's a really long URL. Now you can do that in a much prettier and simpler way by using a pretty link. And it looks like this: http://www.podcastfasttrack.com/great-product. You see how simple that is? So you're going to create your pretty link. And by the way, Pretty Link Lite is a free plugin for WordPress, so you can use that with no cost. You're going to create that pretty link. You're going to target it to your potential sponsor's product, and you'll mention that link in your advertisement. Now, if you need an easy-to-follow short tutorial on how to set up a pretty link, you can check out a video that are in the show notes for this episode, podcastfasttrack.com/005. All right, now this pretty link could lead to podcast sponsorship gold. So keep listening. Here we go. Step number 5. Begin running that sponsor advertisement on your podcast episodes. This is pretty simple. You've heard sponsor spots run on other podcasts. You're just going to do the same thing on your show using the ad copy that you created. Here's my suggestions about that. Choose the length of time you're going to run the ad for your podcast sponsor. I recommend a pretty substantial length of time, maybe even 5 months. Don't call the company a sponsor of your show. Just tell your listeners you have a great resource you want to tell them about. That way you can avoid potential legal trouble because they're not officially a sponsor. And if you call them a sponsor and they're not really a sponsor, they might not like the association for some reason. But who is going to complain if you're just bragging on their product? That's essentially how you need to see this ad. Now, be sure to include the easy-to-remember pretty link that you created for their product. And for the sake of integrity, don't send the listeners through your own affiliate link. I don't have anything against affiliate links. I just think that when you contact a potential sponsor in one of the future steps I'm going to get to, it will look more genuine if you don't use an affiliate link. Okay, then be patient. It's going to take a while, and you may have to do it all over again if it doesn't prove to be a good sponsor podcast fit. All right, here's step number 6. Assess the analytics you get from the experiment honestly. A company will only be interested in sponsoring your show if the data shows that there's sufficient ROI. That's return on investment. That means they won't spend money advertising on your show if there's not a reasonable hope that they're going to make more money than they spend. So be honest. You need to look at the number of click-throughs soberly. Most click-throughs do not result in a sale. About 3% of them will. So figure out what that number is given the data you've accumulated. So you're going to take your number of click-throughs, you're going to multiply it by 0.03% to get the average conversion rate. And that's what you'll use when you contact your podcast sponsor. That's coming up here in just a second, step number 7. Okay, now before we get there, if in your estimation, the numbers do validate that your show would be a great fit for that sponsor, you're going to go on to step number 7. But if in your estimation, and this is where you've got to be honest, the numbers do not verify that that sponsor would earn income from advertising on your show, then run the experiment again, targeting a different potential sponsor. Finding the right podcast sponsor fit is possible using this method, I believe, but it's going to take some work. All right, now here's number 7. After you've got your analytics and you've got the data and you know what you're looking at, contact that dream sponsor about the possibility of sponsoring your show. And you're not going to go empty-handed like a lot of podcasters do. That's the point of this entire experiment. You're going to be able to show the potential sponsor in a respectful, data-driven, conscientious way that your show may be a good investment of their advertising dollars. So when you contact that ideal sponsor you've targeted, here's what you should include. Include a description of your show, its target audience, and how long you've been publishing it. Include data regarding the number of downloads, reach, etc. that your show has. You can get that info from your media host. Include a clear description of this experiment that you just did, featuring their product. Even include the ad copy to tell them what you said. Include why you chose their product for your experiment. Include the data you've gathered regarding your experiment. And then mention the time frame through which you did the experiment. They'll have data of their own sales during that time frame and may be able to make the correlation between your advertisements and their sales. And then tell them why you'd like them to be a sponsor of your podcast. Do you see what you're doing? This method ensures you're approaching a podcast sponsor in a way that appeals to them, with data, with hard facts. Approaching them should be about dollars and data, not guesswork or good feelings. So that's it. That's a strategic plan to go about finding your ideal podcast sponsor. If you're interested in trying that out, I would love to hear from you. Make a comment, leave a comment in the show notes at podcastfasttrack.com/005 and let me know how this goes for you. Now, I have to say this as well. I cannot be held liable for anything you might do on the stupid side of things that would get you in trouble legally from this experiment. But I do think any sponsor, potential sponsor of your show, would appreciate you coming to them with data-driven facts. That's all I'm going to say about this crazy harebrained mad scientist experiment for getting a sponsor for your podcast. This show is brought to you by Podcast Fast Track, where my team provides professional podcasting services without the time suck. Full production, editing, and show notes all in one monthly subscription package. You can find out more at podcastfasttrack.com. Now go out and make it a podcastificating day. Comment in the show notes for this episode at podcastfasttrack.com/005. I believe it's 5. Is it 5? I don't know. I'm doing these in such a rushed order, doing them in batching, and I've lost track of where I am. Let me see here. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it is 5. Okay. Take 2. That means you've done appropriate loud.